Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Sinbad the Sailor, 1001 Nights. By Edgar Allan Poe. In his 7 tales, Sinbad the Sailor chronicles his adventures at sea. They all have a lot in common, but they're all unique. Scheherazade told the story to Shahryar, the king of Persia. Throughout the voyages, Sinbad was afraid he would perish, yet his faith in Allah saw him through. In his words, "This is my last adventure." But he never did. For him, traveling was a must-do. The first paragraph of each story is the same. The voyage begins peacefully, but something unexpected occurs. Sinbad's trust in Allah grew stronger with each journey because he was continually saved by Allah. Sinbad the carrier offered Sinbad the sailor 700 goldfinches after he told him his stories. He told Sinbad the carrier the stories so that he would appreciate his life more and have a greater faith in God. After that, Sinbad the carrier sought forgiveness from Allah for his past transgressions. She told him tales about Sinbad the sailor and many more, in which anything was conceivable. According to their deserving, the main characters might go from poverty to wealth and vice versa. In the end, there is always the possibility that a tale will continue. To record her tales, the emperor dispatched several of his most trusted officers, and the collection is now known as 1001 Nights. During the reign of Caliph Harun al-Rashid, Sinbad served as a carrier. On top of that, he had to bear the weight of it all. Sadly, he was a pauper. Because of the weight of his daily burden, he decided to sit on a bench and rest for a few minutes. When Sinbad observed the opulence of the business next door, he began to praise Allah. When the store owner heard him, he dispatched a small kid named Sinbad to fetch him. Sinbad was awestruck when he entered the home. When the host arrived, he asked Sinbad to recite the lyrics he was reciting outdoors. So, the host decided to tell Sinbad, the story's bearer, all about how his own life had changed the plot completely. Before he became wealthy and happy, he shared all of the details of his past. 7 voyages of Sinbad the Sailor are all magical tales, and each one is unique. Sinbad the Sailor was certain that Allah was to blame for everything, and he couldn't deny it. The first journey. The narrative of Sinbad the Sailor's first voyage was narrated by the sailor himself. In his travels, he came across many islands, including one that resembled heaven itself. He and his crew debarked from the ship and built a fire to prepare some food for themselves. Some of them prepared meals, while others went for walks around the island. For a brief while, everyone appeared to be in a good mood, but that didn't stay. Because the island was preparing to dive into the ocean, the captain instructed him to rush to the ship. A few were saved, but others remained on the enormous fish. In the end, Allah provided a wooden trough for Sinbad the sailor, who had remained on the fish. After that, he traveled to a new location. He decided to go for a walk around the island one day. He caught a glimpse of a man astride a massive steed. He was led into a subterranean chamber by the stranger. He met an emperor there who assigned him a task. Every time a boat docked on the island, he had to write it down. Sinbad the sailor decided to take a boat from Baghdad back to his homeland one day. The second journey. Sinbad the sailor has decided to embark on a new journey. An island that looked like paradise welcomed him. Because he was exhausted, Sinbad dozed off on the island, and when he awoke, he was all by himself. His crew had already left when he didn't. Because he was left behind, he had to find a way to survive. In the hope of being carried to an uninhabited island by the wings of a big bird, he tied himself to the creature's legs. The bird took him to the top of a mountain, which was surrounded by a valley. He made his way to the valley's apex and noticed something odd. The sky was littered with a piece of flesh. To get to the top, an eagle swooped down and lifted him up with its talons. When he ran into a group of merchants, he joined them and returned to Baghdad. He enjoyed a carefree existence, but he was soon ready for something new. The third journey. It was only when the wind caught up with them that they were blown to the Monkey Mountain. That mountain claimed the lives of no one. The monkeys encircled the boat and hurled the passengers onto the island, where they discovered a fortress. The castle was unoccupied when they arrived, so they decided to stay the night there. A huge creature awoke them in the morning and snatched their captain from their grasp before tossing him to the ground. A fire was started and the captain was cooked and eaten as a result of him climbing on top of the captain and demanding that it be ignited. The next day, the sailors attempted to slay the creature by outsmarting it. An additional one of them had been slain by the time darkness fell. Afterward, the creature decided to take a nap. The sailors snatched up their spears and rammed them into his face, blinding him. That was an impressive way to defeat him. They returned to Baghdad in a boat they had made. However, A voice inside of Sinbad the sailor drove him to embark on yet another journey. The fourth journey. It was off on yet another adventure for Sinbad the sailor. Up until a severe storm split their boat in half, everything was going smoothly on the water. A piece of board that helped him reach to an island was sent to him by Allah again. A bunch of naked men approached them on the island, and they were able to save themselves thanks to their intelligence. A little town was the next stop for Sinbad. The emperor married him to his daughter, and the people welcomed him. He lived a tranquil life, but one day he made the decision to return to Baghdad. Though he had all he needed to get by, he was itching for a change of scenery and a new challenge. The fifth journey. Sinbad was back on his merry way, hopping from island to island. When things went wrong, he wound up on a large island and found himself in terrible jeopardy. He was even accompanied by an elderly man who told him how fortunate he was to be alive. As a result of Sinbad's heroics, the elderly man was now unable to leave his side. Because Sinbad was a sage, he made the elderly man inebriated and then fled to avoid being captured by the evil pirate. Allah is to be praised for saving him. For his return trip to Baghdad, he worked on an island to earn money. A fresh experience was in store for him the moment he stepped foot back into his own bed. The sixth journey. Merchants accompanied Sinbad on his journey. They had a good trip, but the captain called it a day. He discovered that they had deviated from their planned course and had to unload on an island. Sinbad was left to fend for himself after the death of all the merchants. In order to get by, Sinbad set off on a journey to find an emperor who was content with his existence. He was ultimately able to return to Baghdad thanks to his support. The seventh journey. After his previous adventure, Sinbad had a little money, but he still wanted to see more of the world. When the skipper informed him that the wind had taken them to far-off waters, he was surprised. Whales the size of mountains swam up and attacked them. In the end, none of them made it out alive. That's what happened every time Sinbad went to Allah for help. He would get out of danger, just to find himself in trouble again. A promise to Allah was his sole motivation for making the voyage, and he made the vow to never set out again in pursuit of danger. Sinbad was never the same after Allah delivered him. Characters: Sinbad the sailor, Sinbad the carrier, captain, merchants, emperors. Sinbad the sailor, the rich merchant who lived in Baghdad. Because he couldn't resist taking on new challenges, his life was never dull. To him, they were attractive, and he aspired to see and understand more about the world. While he had several mishaps along the way, his faith in Allah kept him from losing hope and he was always lifted out of them. During his final journey, he made a commitment to Allah that it would be his final one. Baghdad was his home, and he was content. A man of tremendous character, he expressed his gratitude for his good fortune in life. Because he thought Sinbad the carrier didn't appreciate his life enough, he told him about it. In the wake of that experience, Sinbad the carrier learned to trust in Allah and express gratitude for his good fortune in life. 1001 Nights is the source of these stories, which were written by an unknown author. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.